On August 10, 2021, Christina Applegate posted something on social media that stopped the world. She announced that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. The disease had been discovered a few months earlier while she was filming the final season of Dead to Me. And just like that, everything changed. For Christina, this diagnosis meant that her entire life had to be restructured from the ground up. She now uses a cane to walk. She has talked openly about experiencing cognitive fog. She has had to accept that her body has changed in ways she never anticipated. The woman who once played the most desirable teenager on television now struggles with basic movements that most people take for granted. What Christina revealed about Ed O'Neill's response to her diagnosis shows the true depth of their relationship. When Ed found out about her illness, he immediately reached out. He did not just send a text message or a brief phone call. He made sure Christina knew that he was there for her. He expressed his love and support in ways that went far beyond what former coworkers typically do. The entire Married with Children cast rallied around Christina. Katie Sagal, David Faustino, and Amanda Bearse all showed their support. But it was Ed's response that meant the most to Christina. He was still being her protector after all these years. The diagnosis also raised serious questions about any potential reunion. A traditional production would require physical demands that Christina simply cannot meet right now. But Ed and the rest of the cast made something very clear. Any reunion would be designed around Christina's needs. They would not do it without her. The Bundy family was not complete without Kelly. Period. In November 2022, Christina made her first major public appearance since revealing her diagnosis. She was being honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She arrived using a cane. Her movements were slower than they used to be. But she was there. Katie Sagal was there to support her TV daughter. Other friends and colleagues showed up to celebrate Christina's career. The ceremony was emotional, but what Christina said during her speech left everyone in tears. She talked about her diagnosis openly. She talked about the fear and uncertainty she had faced. She talked about what it meant to have people in her life who had shown up for her when things got hard. 2 months later came another moment that would be seared into memory. Christina appeared at the Emmy Awards in January 2023. She walked onto that stage with her cane, and the audience did something spontaneous. They stood up. Every single person in that room rose to their feet. And they kept applauding. The standing ovation lasted nearly a full minute. In her typical fashion, she used humor to cope, quipping that they were shaking her brain. The audience laughed through their tears. Ed O'Neill was among those who made sure Christina knew she was loved. Their exchanges that night reflected the same dynamic that had existed since she was 15 years old. He was still looking out for her. This past year, Christina has opened up even more through her podcast, Messy, which she co-hosts with Jamie Lynn Sigler, another actress living with MS. The podcast has become a platform where Christina shares stories from her career that have never been told before. And in recent episodes, she finally exposed the full extent of what Ed O'Neill meant to her. One story involves the improvisation that happened on set. Christina has talked about Ed teaching her how to be spontaneous on camera. He would throw her curveballs during scenes, forcing her to react authentically. He would change his line delivery to see how she would adjust. These were not tricks to make her look bad. These were lessons to make her better. He was investing in her future as an actress. Another hidden detail involves how the cast handled the more controversial aspects of the show. Ed made sure that even when the show was being provocative, the set remained a safe and respectful environment. He would shut down inappropriate comments immediately. He would make it clear that the characters might behave badly, but the actors were to be treated with dignity. There were also moments of real tenderness between takes that audiences never saw. Christina remembers Ed bringing her coffee when she seemed tired. She remembers Katie giving her advice about navigating Hollywood. In a recent podcast episode, Christina got emotional talking about how Ed would walk her to her car after every single taping, without fail, for 11 years. She said through tears that she never thanked him properly for that. The show lasted 11 seasons. That is an extraordinary run for any television series. And what made it possible was not just good writing. It was the genuine connection between the performers. They were not just playing a family. In many ways, they had become one. The question everyone keeps asking is whether there will ever be a proper Married with Children reunion. After everything that has happened, after Christina's diagnosis, after all the years that have passed, is it still possible? The answer is complicated, but there is reason for hope. Christina's podcast has given her a platform to share her thoughts in a format that accommodates her health needs. She does not have to stand for long hours. She does not have to memorize scripts. This has opened up new possibilities for how a reunion might work. It does not have to be a traditional sitcom revival. There are alternative formats that could bring the cast together in ways that work for everyone. Ed O'Neill has made it clear that he would be willing to do a reunion, but only if it includes Christina. He has no interest in revisiting the Bundy family without his TV daughter. The same sentiment has been echoed by the other cast members. There have been discussions with networks and streaming services about various formats. Nothing has been officially announced, but conversations are happening. What Christina has revealed about her relationship with Ed O'Neill is ultimately a story about what matters most in life. It is not about fame or ratings or awards. It is about the connections we make with other people. It is about showing up for each other when things get hard. It is about maintaining love across decades and through difficult circumstances. When Christina walked onto that set as a 15-year-old girl, she could never have imagined where life would take her. She could not have known that the man playing her TV father would become one of the most important figures in her life. She could not have predicted that nearly 4 decades later, their bond would still be going strong. The story of Christina Applegate and Ed O'Neill is not a story of scandal or controversy. The real reason eventually became public. Benny had met TV producer Mona Norclett and married her in 1981, the same year his divorce from Frida was finalized. Frida addressed it with striking honesty: they had simply grown apart, and breaking up had become a necessity. There was a lot of tears and a lot of discussions, she said, but there was no way back. Despite the personal wreckage, Benny and Bjorn kept writing. The group recorded one final album, The Visitors, in 1981, a darker, more mature record dealing with failed relationships and the passage of time. One of Us gave ABBA their last #1 in Germany and final top 3 hit in the UK. By spring 1982, the creative process had ground to near halt. New sessions produced only 3 songs, and Benny and Bjorn were unhappy with all of them. Instead of a new album, they released a greatest hits compilation for Christmas with 2 new singles, The Day Before You Came and Under Attack. Neither cracked the UK top 20. The compilation, however, went to #1. Their final public performance together came on the 11th of December, 1982, broadcast live from Stockholm to the UK. Quietly, without announcement, one of the greatest pop groups the world had ever seen had performed together for the last time. Life after ABBA. When ABBA ended, Benny and Bjorn remained extraordinarily productive. Together with lyricist Tim Rice, they created the musical Chess, which opened in London's West End in 1986 and produced the international hit One Night in Bangkok. They then developed Mamma Mia, built around 22 of ABBA's songs. It opened in London in 1999, arrived on Broadway in 2001, and has since been seen by more than 70 million people across 50 productions in 16 languages. 2 hit films followed. Since 2001, Benny has also led Benny Andersson's Orchestra, a 14-piece ensemble blending Swedish folk, pop, and classical elements, releasing multiple #1 albums in Sweden. In June 2025, he returned to the stage with intimate BAO concerts across Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö, performances that received glowing reviews for their warmth and musicality. For decades, the idea of an ABBA reunion was music's most asked question. Offers poured in, including a reported $1 billion in the early 2000s for a concert series, which they turned down. Then in 2018, something shifted. All 4 began talking again. What started as plans for 2 new songs grew into a full album, Voyage, released in 2021, which immediately topped the UK charts. ABBA Voyage, a new kind of concert. Alongside the album came something genuinely groundbreaking. ABBA Voyage is a concert experience in which digital avatars, crafted using cutting-edge motion capture technology by Industrial Light and Magic, perform on stage as the group appeared in 1979, backed by a live 10-piece band. The show opened at the purpose-built ABBA Arena in Stratford's Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in May 2022, and it has not looked back. 3 years on, ABBA Voyage has welcomed more than 3 million visitors and contributed an estimated £1 billion to the UK economy. The show is booked through early 2026, with auditions announced in mid-2025 for musicians to join the production from December onward, a clear signal and intends to run well beyond that. For the 3rd anniversary in May 2025, 4 new songs were added to the set list: Super Trooper, The Name of the Game, Money, 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 and Take a Chance on Me, giving returning fans a fresh reason to come back. Benny's heartfelt moment with Frida. And then came the moment that nobody in that arena will ever forget. On the 27th of May, 2025, Benny Andersson, now 78, and Annie Frid Lyngstad, now 79, made an unannounced appearance at the ABBA Arena to mark the show's 3rd anniversary. The crowd erupted when they appeared, a rare and deeply emotional sight, given that their marriage had ended more than 4 decades ago. During the show, the two were spotted together in a private dance booth, laughing and chatting warmly. Before the performance, both took the microphone. Frida smiled at the audience and said, "Thank you for all your support over the years. It's hard to imagine it's 50 years now. I'm turning 80 this year." The crowd roared with delight. Benny then stepped up, and rather than offering a grand speech, he made Frida burst out laughing with a playful joke. For the fans in the room, it was more than a throwaway moment. It was a window into something real, the genuine ease and lasting warmth between 2 people who had shared the most intense years of their lives, weathered enormous personal pain, and come out the other side still able to make each other laugh. The VIP after-party that followed added a final, extraordinary layer. Benny sat down at the piano and performed alongside Elvis Costello and Elbows Guy Garvey, who sang a spine-tingling rendition of The Winner Takes It All. Then Frida joined in, singing a few bars herself. The song that once symbolized heartbreak became, in that room on that night, something closer to celebration. As for what comes next, a 3rd Mamma Mia film is now confirmed, with Benny on board as executive producer. On Broadway in 2025, both Mamma Mia and Chess are running simultaneously, a testament to a creative partnership that has outlasted everything: fame, marriages, divorces, and decades apart. At 78, Benny Andersson isn't slowing down. In that moment with Frida in London, 2 people who once loved each other deeply, standing side by side again, laughing, tells you everything you need to know about the man behind the music. So do you think ABBA's personal relationships were the real reason the band fell apart? Or was it always going to end this way? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from music's most fascinating history. See you next time. It is something far more valuable. It is a story of genuine human connection in an industry that often destroys relationships. It is a story of a mentor who became a father figure and a young actress who became like his own daughter. And as Christina continues to face her health challenges with courage and humor, she knows that Ed O'Neill is still watching out for her. Just like he has been since she was 15 years old. Just like he always will be. Some bonds are simply unbreakable.